This tomb swears it'll turn you into a god. The fine print, it does that by turning you into a monster first, and our guy breaks the whole machine just by walking in as the wrong customer. That's the chapter. Everything after is the system having a breakdown about it. First he's just reading. 2 words on the wall, Waverider Mimic, and he wonders if they're bloodlines he hasn't unlocked yet. Combine 2 of those, he figures, and that's Great House blood. Hold on to that, it comes back. The door's just open for him. Not the bloodlines, the relic clocking its owner. So he does the only reasonable thing and interrogates the local spirit like it's tech support. Waverider, it says, is underwater breathing, aquatic buffs, fluid control. One problem, he doesn't feel like he can breathe water or bend it, which means the relic's using those abilities as an ID badge, not actually handing them over. He noticed. Nobody in this genre ever notices. The thing he's talking to is like a spirit, sure, but colder, more rigid, more inhuman. He asks the obvious stuff, what is this place, how do I leave? Answer, it's a labyrinth. Slay the chief, the exit opens. And then real quiet, the line that changes the whole tone, does that mean I can become a god? Here's where it glitches, and this is the part everyone skips. The system lists the types it recognizes, hunter, pursuer, waverider, mimic, runs Tyran against them and throws an error. He doesn't match the Night Hunter template. Unauthorized personnel entered without the creator. So it does the single worst thing available. It starts a judgment and fires a deployment order straight to the labyrinth chief. Something's inside. It stirs, it uncurls, and it is very much not a welcome committee. The monster clocks him in one look. You are not a night hunter. Even the final boss thinks he's a bug in the system. To think my shell was breached, it grumbles like being disturbed is the insult, not losing. And then it says the quiet part out loud. This is a place that creates gods, that's the entire function. A factory, you walk in a person, you walk out a god, assuming you survive the part where the exit only opens once you've killed. Nobody makes a god in here without a body count first. One thing it's certain of, whatever Tyran's packing won't be enough to kill it. And then, of course, a voice cuts in. Let's fight together for a bit, cousin. Enter Purga, yes, that Purga, the one we watched murder his own man for a mouthful of water last chapter. Great, love this for everyone. Purga's got a handful of men left and they're rattled. Because the monster won't stop muttering, the Night Hunter, the children's enemy, over and over. And not one of them has a clue what it means. It attacks, someone screams, you monster. The name checks out. Tyran does the coldest thing in his toolkit, turns a life-or-death fight into a staffing decision. The little ones swarm, he notes dryly that even a rat fights to survive. Then he turns to Purga and calmly assigns him a role, you draw the attention, like the small fry. And Purga actually lands one, I smash the bastard's knee. Cackling like he's the main character. This is where Purga cracks open, all his supporters dead, everything he built gone, and instead of aiming that at the thing that killed them, he fixates on one target, all because of you. That's the tell. The factory doesn't just kill you, it hollows you out and helpfully hands you someone to blame. He charges, screaming die, connects clean, I did it. That was a solid hit. Except the monster isn't the one reeling. It's muttering to itself the word, the meaning of this, where did it all go wrong, something's off and it's not the wound. Then the gut punch, take a look at yourself. Purga's baffled, why is it looking over there, and the answer lands like a brick, he killed them all. His own people, everyone, and somehow he's still not satisfied. And here's the part that actually got me. That whole warm fight together, cousin routine, Tyran was never teaming up. He was using Purga as bait the entire time. Remember last chapter he decided this man didn't deserve saving, he just never bothered to mention it. Every single soul in this tomb is being manufactured into a monster. Tyran just read the recipe and quietly declined to cook. So my bet, the relic tagging him as Waverider and Mimic, those 2 bloodlines he hasn't manifested, was never a glitch. This place already thinks he qualifies to be a god, told you those 2 words mattered. Tell me I'm wrong in the comments. How does a guy who literally cannot kill the monster in front of him walk out of this chapter with a century of noble power in his pocket? Because this is a power scaling episode, and Tyran just found the ultimate cheat code. So we open mid-brawl. The labyrinth chief monster is up, and Purga's already screaming that Tyran's a fake night hunter. He's right, technically. Tyran doesn't match the template. The tomb still threw its final boss at him anyway. And here's the honest scaling read. Raw, Tyran can't beat this thing. He says it himself, no destructive power can't punch through the defense. That's a real weakness. Note it. It matters in about 90 seconds. Purga, meanwhile, is having the worst day of his life. My children, you killed them all, buddy. Those were your own men. The monster tricked you into it last chapter. Tyran just watched. Then the fix. Tyran cashes in the history bloodline he lifted off Dolph, and the mimic power from the relic actually functions. He had to drink the liquid inside to do it, which he calls a bit off-putting. Understatement of the arc. Catch here, the relic isn't giving him abilities so much as unlocking borrowed ones on a timer. 30 minutes and it fades. So everything now is a countdown. And with the borrowed juice, suddenly he's got the destructive power he was missing. One pierce through the lung, another through the heart. The angler that hard countered him 2 panels ago is now scrap. Told you the destructive power thing mattered. That was the whole fight in one sentence. He wasn't weak, he was under-equipped. Give him the right bloodline and the tear jumps instantly. Then he turns to Purga, who's finished. And instead of a killing blow speech, Tyran just goes, "Sorry, that's beyond my abilities." Deadpan to a dying man, this kid is cold. But watch what he does next, because it's the most interesting beat in the chapter. He eulogizes him, a villain who treated commoner knights lightly, and yet we fought the labyrinth to the very end. Purga Zahar, I will remember you. Last chapter he decided Purga didn't deserve saving. This chapter he salutes him anyway. That's the character in a nutshell, cold enough to let you die, principled enough to remember you did. Now the number that makes this a scaling episode. Tyran clocks that he's twice as strong as when he entered the labyrinth, and he benchmarks it, as much power as ordinary nobles gain in 100 years. He casually skipped a century. He also wonders what it'd be like to fire multiple bloodlines at once, then decides to save them. The scary part isn't what he can do, it's that he's rationing it. Smart guy mode. He leaves the magic tool behind on purpose so Zahar's pursuers can't trace it, then uses search magic to erase his own tracks. He just murdered a succession candidate and he's already scrubbing the crime scene. Cold and careful. But before he leaves, hold on to this, he reads the tomb's actual notes. This is the lore dump that reframes everything. The Night Hunter isn't a bloodline, it's a recipe. Night Hunter equals hunter plus pursuer plus shadow plus alchemist. 4 bloodlines stacked to manufacture one job. The labyrinth's whole condition was clear the labyrinth of evil, and it added a function to tempt only a valid target inside. Which explains the creepy thing from before, that sudden urge he felt to come back here. The tomb wasn't luring monsters. It was luring him, he was the target. And the monster he barely killed, the rotten angler, materials, giant's blood and flesh. The bigger one uses a queen giant as raw material. That final boss was just reconstituted giant meat. Here's the line that should have every reader sitting up. Shadow and Alchemist, 2 of the 4 ingredient bloodlines, are already extinct, wiped out by the Zahar family long ago. Think about that. Tyran's dad's house didn't just lose bloodlines, they exterminated the ones this god tomb needs. Everyone skips this panel treating it as trivia. It's the whole political engine of the series. And the callback lands. Orville the pyromaniac also tried to artificially get a bloodline, claiming a god told him how. Same god voice thread from way back. Tyran asks the real question, can you permanently acquire a bloodline that isn't yours? He doesn't answer it. He just files it away and leaves before the exit vanishes. He drops out of the vortex onto the outskirts of Banapel. One day passes, then another. And who's waiting? Gud, you're late, I was worried. The hyper-intelligent eagle he taught to read is now his nagging travel partner. Best power-up in the arc, and it's a bird with abandonment issues. Then the bill comes due. He just killed the next Zahar house head candidate plus 10 nobles. He knows the desert's about to be in an uproar, and it's only a matter of time before he's named the culprit. So he benches himself. Leave the Emerald Desert for a few months until it quiets down, then go find his mother's people. Sensible, for a guy who solos god tombs. And where does he head? The Grey Zone, the old battlefield where Arabian and Zahar once waged war. Which, if you've been tracking the Mesa Varabian setup, is not a neutral choice. He rolls into Kalimap dressed like a swamp creature, gets stared at, and asks for a day's hospitality. Small problem, Kalimap has no lord. He recently died fighting dark elves invading from the west, and there isn't a single noble or knight left in the whole city. So here's my read to close it out. A century-strong wanted man just wandered into a leaderless city with no knights, right as dark elves push in from the west. That's not a rest stop, that's a job offer waiting to happen. Bet Tyran ends up reluctantly running Kalimap. Tell me I'm wrong in the comments. A guy walks into a dying city looking for his mom, and by the end they're calling him a god sent from heaven. He didn't ask for it. He just wanted directions. Quick briefing on why Calamap's a graveyard. The monster hunters turned up dead on the West Road, weapons sheared clean through in a single strike. So not your average beast. They escalate like a horror movie speedrun. 2 nights gone, 10 nights the house head's brother his son gone. The house head himself goes and one battered survivor crawls back to gasp a single word, Wraith. A scholar clocks it, controlling wraiths is dark elf work, and the dark elves stirring in the west, that thread's been quietly loading since the Derman dinner gossip. Hold on to that, it's the whole arc. Neighboring cities were begged for help. All said no, didn't want to thin their forces. Tyrann's read, they're just scared, he can't even blame them. Here's where the genre expects our hero to plant a flag and declare himself lord. He doesn't. He says he can't run this place, but he also can't unsee the state these people are in. Then comes the title drop, the reason this series is called what it's called. The gray zone metaphor, nobles are shepherds, knights are sheepdogs, commoners are sheep. Rule of the land. And Tyrann freezes. He's never heard that expression in the desert or Hisarl, only here, which means his mother, the woman he's chasing, passed through this exact place. The map just got personal. He pulls out the portrait. Her name's Vise, late teens or early 20s about 20 years ago. Now do that math against Tyrann's age and tell me your stomach didn't drop. So his logic locks in. To find his mother, he first has to stop this city from falling. That's not heroism, that's a to-do list. He declares himself protector, not lord temporary, until the western threat's gone or a real master shows up. And here's my first prediction, that loophole is going to matter. A protector answers to no house. He just handed himself total freedom and total deniability. The crowd loses it. Savior, descendant of the gods, were saved. Except the back row isn't buying it. He doesn't look much different from us. Sure, handsome as a Freyan, but monsters don't run from a pretty face. Honestly, fair. And Tyrann catches the doubt in their eyes, not mockery anxiety. They're building a wall so they don't get their hearts broken again. Then it clicks for him. That Stormfire show he pulled on the pirate ship, the one he called a meaningless flex. It was the most important thing he ever did. Sheep need to see the shepherd's strength with their own eyes. So he decides to put on a show. No wizards around, so a decent one should do it. He compresses the flame as tight as it goes, drops the temperature, maxes the range. And the sky ignites. Crowd goes feral. We're saved, we're gonna live, oh savior of ours. Rule of 3, doubt, doubt, and then a wall of fire that shuts everyone up at once. But fire doesn't feed anyone. The council meeting spirals, people are freezing, there's no food, what good is firewood if we starve first? Real problem. Tyrann's fix is so on-brand it hurts. He'll herd the surrounding animals into the city. Stew now, salt and store the rest, ride out the winter. The nobles clutch their pearls. Using God-granted power for such lowly work, they couldn't possibly allow it. His comeback is clean. Northern nobles strike the fields with lightning after harvest to enrich the soil. This is no different, sit down. So he herds beasts into the city like livestock and shrugs it off, just a bit more tiring than herding sheep. Something he's used to. The literal shepherd wizard doing shepherd things while everyone treats it like a miracle. Then he turns down the lord's quarters for a plain lodging with a bed, and the people break. The shepherd is carving off his own flesh to feed the sheep. They are one candle away from a shrine. But Tyrann wants no part of being deified, not yet. Because until the city's stable, he can't dig into what he actually came for, Vise. Every good deed here is just cover for the search. Now the good stuff. The Grey Zone's other castle lords, Bidjan, Balin, Heron, are watching. A 20-year-old with that kind of power, too young. Either a lucky talent or one nurtured by a great house. And one of them says it out loud. Tyrann Zahar, couldn't he be a talent sent by the Zahar side? He's guessing, and he's terrifyingly close. Second prediction, this offhand joke is the seed of Tyrann's cover story cracking wide open. So they decide to just tolerate him, acknowledge him moderately. And that's how Tyrann gets quietly rubber-stamped as protector of Calamap by powers he never even asked. Told you that title would do work. Then a report lands that isn't another dead end. A vagrant named Egon, a man Tyrann's food and lodging saved from dying in the street, says a woman exactly like the portrait came to his inn about 18 years ago. His story, Calamap in chaos, Arabian and Zahar at war. A young woman, alone, fine horse, terrified like she was running from something. Belly a little swollen, pregnant. And while eating, she strokes her belly and whispers, "Please, please don't become like your father. Sit with that." Tiran's father is Zahar, the man whose war was burning the city down around her while she said it. I finally found her. Mother, here's my closing call. That whisper isn't just backstory, it's the whole thesis of who Tiran's trying not to be and the reason he plays protector instead of conqueror. He's already keeping her wish. Bet the next arc is him learning exactly what she was running from. Tell me I'm wrong in the comments. 7 noble houses roll up to this man offering their daughters as brides and an entire city on top, and he turns the whole thing down flat to go chasing one woman who passed through town 20 years ago. The most powerful guy in Calamap just wants to find his mom. This is a callback episode, so buckle up. Almost every beat here rhymes with something we've already seen. We open exactly where 26 left us. Egon, the vagrant Tiran, pulled off the streets, finally coughing up the details on the portrait. Last chapter he dropped one cryptic line and basically fainted. Now, food and lodging bought and paid for, we get the full story. Rewind 20 years back when Egon still ran a real inn. A young woman, barely 20, belly a little swollen, stays a single night, traveling completely alone, which nobody did back then. She's nervous, jumpy, clearly running from something, and she's riding a horse way too fine for a runaway. And Egon's very first thought isn't who is she, it's what kind of scumbag abandons a pregnant woman like this. Hold on to that thought because the answer is heavier than he knows. Then she strokes her belly and mutters the line, "Don't turn out like your father." Same words Egon half-remembered last chapter, except now Tiran is standing there realizing she was saying it about him. Mother, that's the whole reaction, that's the face. The details stack up fast. She asked directions heading west and didn't know a single local place name, so not from around here. And the horse wasn't either. Coat shining solid gold, fine enough that Egon locked the stables extra tight that night. So we've got a golden horse and a woman calling Tiran's father a cautionary tale. Remember the golden horse? I'm calling it now. That detail comes back. Tiran plays it ice cold, too early to jump to conclusions, he says, while also admitting there's a high chance that woman was his mother, Vise. My guy, the composure is doing a lot of heavy lifting in this panel. Don't turn out like your father. What in the world did that mean? And here's why it lands different coming from the man whose father is Zahar, a bloodline so buried it would get him killed on sight. That isn't a rhetorical question. Chapter 21 told us the name is a death sentence. This is the first crack in why. Gud clocks the mood instantly. The two of them have been soul-linked since it bonded to him back in 21, so the bird literally feels him spiral. It asks if Tiran remembers his mother. He doesn't. Turns out Gud doesn't have one either. 2 orphans and technically an eagle. And Gud's solution to Tiran being sad about a missing mother is to just become the mother. It picks a name, announces I am Vige. And Tiran, completely deadpan, tells it maybe be more careful choosing a name. He agrees anyway, your name is Vige. Now catch this, Vige, not Vise. The bird named itself exactly 1 letter off his actual mother's name and not one person in the room corrects it. Everyone skips this panel. It's going to be the whole misunderstanding later. Cut to the citizens chanting for their black eagle and protector to guard Calamap forever. Tiran, internally, forever's a bit much, I was actually planning to leave. This is the exact thing he's spent 26 chapters avoiding, settling down anywhere. Recon run with Vige. No trace of the dark elves, which sounds like great news until you actually think about it. The enemies you can see, you can repel. The enemies who just vanished can walk back in whenever they feel like it. Then he spots a wizard, whose mana reads twice as strong as his own right now. And this one notices him first from that distance instantly and speeds up. He's on alert for half a second until the flight pattern clicks into place. Wind, he knows this one. It's Mesa. Been 3 or 4 months, and in her words, he's changed a lot, gone, and turned into an adult on her while she wasn't looking. Introductions get awkward immediately. This is Vige, she's my family. Mesa blinking family, is she a soul-bound monster? It's amazing she can even write. Not wrong, honestly. Tiran clarifies that Vige chose him, and Mesa calls the whole thing romantic. Says she's always wanted a companion like that herself. File that line under things that will absolutely matter later. Then the actual intel drops. Mesa's forces wrecked the underground kingdom, and one wraith sorcerer slipped out in the chaos and fled east to rebuild his army. So there's your Calamap problem fully explained. The wraiths that gutted this city last chapter trace straight back to her campaign. His hideout, the settlement of the blind dwarves, mountains so deep that legend says even the gods themselves couldn't fully subjugate them. New lore just dropped, and it's the good kind. Keep the blind dwarves in mind because that is clearly the next stop. And Mesa can't just chase him into the gray zone herself. The reason? Zahar. Tiran's own buried family name is the exact fence keeping her out. The thing that makes him a target is the thing that makes this his turf and not hers. Mesa heads off, promising travel stories next time. And Gud's takeaway from that entire emotional reunion that Mesa matches Tiran too. He floats that if the bird had met her first, it might have picked Mesa instead, and Vij's response is instant. Mesa has no chance, I'm happy. The eagle is winning a competition nobody entered. Back at City Hall, the noble guests arrive. And it's not one house. It's a joint delegation from every surrounding city, all bowing to Lord Tiran of Calamap. The pitch, a marriage alliance across 7 families, their daughters offered up as concubines to help his house prosper. And this is the exact panel where a normal manhwa unlocks the harem arc and the Volume 2 cover art. Tiran reads the whole play in about 1 second. The threat from the west is gone, so they're scrambling to stake a claim on his city early, and they've dressed it up as solidifying our friendship. You govern a territory by commanding knights, they say. Marry in and the knights come with the bride. So here's the flip. He declines the daughters and counters. Whichever family tracks down the woman who crossed the gray zone 20 years ago gets the ruling rights to Calamap. He is, no exaggeration, trading an entire city for a lead on his mother. The harem arc lasted 4 panels and died. One catch attached. Whoever takes the city has to swear in the name of the Freyans to protect the citizens diligently, break the oath, lose the ruling rights on the spot. He's handing away a kingdom and still rigging it so the people he fed through winter stay protected after he's gone. A noble asks the obvious thing, why go to such lengths? You've already given these commoners more than enough. And Tiran finally says the quiet part, even though I'm merely a shepherd, I just want to watch over the sheep from the wolves in this harsh world. I simply wish to be a good shepherd. The title of the series said out loud as a mission statement. And right as that lands, a knight with a seriously heavy presence walks into the city hall without reporting in first. Powerful, uninvited, sneaking. Cut to black. So here's my call. The golden horse is the thread that cracks this whole thing open. Somebody traces that horse straight back to Zahar, and don't turn out like your father stops being a sad little mystery and becomes the actual plot. And that knight sneaking in, bet it's tied to it. Tell me I'm wrong in the comments, I'll wait.